So we have talked about encapsulation before, and we have also seen that a class can contain members like variables, methods, or constructors or initialization blocks. Along with all these members, it's also possible for a class to contain other class in it, and that's called inner class. Now let's have a look how a class can have other class in it. So here I have my outer class, and we have already seen this syntax before, and this outer class also has an inner class, and I have made this inner class as private, but you can also make it public as well. Now let's try to understand what is the purpose of declaring an inner class. Why can't we have these two classes separately? That's completely possible. You can have both these classes separately created in your Salesforce org. But the reason why we have the inner classes is to logically group the classes together, or when a class is supposed to be used by only one single class. For example, let's say you have a class called university, and that university can have multiple sections, right? And these sections are only be used by that university. You don't use these sections anywhere else. So you can have your outer class as university, and then in that outer class you can have an inner class called section, and this way you will logically group your sections with the university. Now, like the other members of the class, if you want to reach to this inner class, first you need the instance of the outer class. You cannot directly create the instance of the inner class without creating an instance of the outer class. So all the member rules of a class applies to the inner class as well. Now let's go back to our developer console and let's try to understand it with the help of an example. So here I have created a new class called company, and this class is used to store some information about the company, like the company name, the CEO of the company, the employee count, and the revenue. This class can also store the customers of the company, and that's why I commented a line here where we will create a variable to store the customers of that company. And we also have two blank methods here. The first one is to add a new customer, and the second one is to print all the customers of the company. So it's a pretty simple class, and there's nothing new that we are seeing here. We have already seen all these things in our previous videos as well. But now, how do you want to store the customer information? So you need to store the customer name. You also need to store the customer website, the email, and phone number. And one company can have many customers, right? So you need a list of customers, and these customers' properties should be encapsulated. So we can use a class here to encapsulate all the properties of the customers. So either we can go ahead and create a new class like this and name it as customer, or you can also create an inner class here to hold the information of your customers. So let's create a new class here, and in this class we are going to encapsulate all the properties of the customer, and I'm going to name this class as client. And let's keep this class as private for now, because we don't want our inner class to be accessed directly outside this outer class. So if you make it private, then it can only be accessed in this class. And in this class, I'm going to have four properties. The first one is a string property client name, then another string property called website, then one more string property called email, and then a long property called phone number. So our client class looks like this, and since it is defined within another class, this client class is an inner class. And now we can use our constructor within this inner class to initialize all these properties. So we'll simply accept the client name, website, email, and phone from the user, and we'll initialize all these variables value. So let's create a constructor here. And if you remember from our previous video, the constructor name should be similar to your class name, and it's gonna accept 4 parameters. And in this constructor, we are going to initialize all our variables here. So since we have the similar name in our constructor and in our class, we can use this keyword to refer to these global variables. So now we have a parameterized constructor which can accept the client name, website, email and phone, and we'll initialize all our class variables based on these values. So far so good. Now we need a list of customers to maintain all the customers of our company. So let's go back to our line number 13 where we'll create a list of customers. And since now we have a client class, we can have a list of client which will be our list of customers. And let's initialize our list with the new keyword. Awesome. So now we have a customer variable to maintain the list of all our customers. Now one important thing to notice here, we have already seen that a list can have strings, integers, double or all the other different data types. But here in the list we are using our class. So this means our class is also a data type which we can use within our list, sets and maps. So this is a very important thing to know, and we'll be using this a lot throughout this course where we'll be creating a class and then we'll be having the list of that class to iterate over. Now let's talk about this add new customer method here, which should add a new customer in this customers list. So if you remember our list video, we can use the list add method to add an item in a list. So we can simply copy this variable here and we can call the add method on it. And now this add method accepts the list item. What would be our list item? Our list item would be this client, right? So we need to give all these different properties to our client class or a client variable, and then we need to push that inside our customers list. So let's quickly do that. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to accept all these different parameters from the user when he'll be calling this add new customer method. So he need to supply the client name, the website, the email and phone, which will be our new customer. And then based on these properties, we are going to initialize this class and we are going to call this parameterized constructor, which will add all these value in these variables. And then we will push this new instance of the client class in our customers list here. So let's do all these things one by one. First, we need to create a new instance of the client class and we can simply call it customer. We need to use our new keyword and then the class name. So here, since we have the parameterized constructor in this client class, we can simply pass all these values. So we can simply pass this client name that we are going to receive from the user, then the website, again we'll be getting it from the user, then the email and then the phone. So this statement right here is going to give us a new customer from this client class and we can push it inside our list because our list also stores the client data. So let's copy this customer variable or the customer instance of client class and then paste it within this add method. So this is how we are going to add a new customer in our customers list. I'm hoping all this is making sense to you. And now let's move to our get all customers method where we will print all the customers from this customers list. So if you remember our for loop for list and set, we are going to use that loop here to actually iterate over this customers list and print the values. So we can simply use a for loop here. Then remember the syntax of a for loop for sets and list. You can simply define your data type here, then the variable name which we'll call customer, and then the list of customers which is this one. And this loop is going to automatically take all the items from this customers list and put those in this local customer variable, and we can use this local customer variable to print the values here within the for loop. So we can simply have a debug statement in this for loop to print all the properties of our customer like name, website, email and phone. We can say like customer name, which is this local variable here, which is customer dot, we need to print this value, client name, right? So we are going to use the dot operator and then the client name, and then we can keep on adding to this string. We can simply say like the website. Again we are going to use our local variable dot the website. Let's do the same thing for the phone and email as well. Perfect. In the same statement itself, we are printing the client name, the website, phone and the email. And we don't have any errors in our code because we are seeing nothing under this problems tab. So we can simply save it. And now it's all about calling all these methods and printing the client list. And we can easily do that from our anonymous window. So here first we are going to create the instance of our outer class, which is called company. And I'm going to name this variable as sfdc facts. And we can use our new keyword to create the instance of this outer class. Now we can also give values to the properties of this class like the company name, CEO, employee count and revenue. And all of these are public properties, so you can simply use this with the class instance. So let's copy it and use our dot operator to access the properties. And here you can give your string value. Let's copy this statement 3 more times and we are going to assign the value to all our 4 properties. Okay, now this is all about our outer class. If you want to store the customer information, then we need to have an instance of the inner class, which we are creating in our add new customer method here. So we simply need to call our add new customer method to add the new customer list, and then we need to call our get all customers to print the list of all the customers. So we can call our add new customer method with the class instance dot add new customer. And remember, this method accepts a lot of parameters. First it accepts the client name, then the website, then email and then the phone. So I'll simply copy all these parameter values and paste it here. So I have a customer called CLR Infotech, then I'm giving their website, then the email and then the phone. So this is how I'm going to call my add new customer method. Remember why we are using L here, because it's a long parameter, and if you don't use L here, then Apex will treat it as an integer parameter. Now we can call this add new customer method few more times and we can add all our customers list, and I'm going to paste those values as well. So I have another customer Force Panda and then third customer called Udemy. So this is how I'm adding all my customers, and internally it's calling the client class, creating a new instance of the client class and adding it to our customers list. Now we can print all our customers using the get all customers method. So let's call that method now. And since this method doesn't accept any parameter, we'll simply call it with blank parenthesis. And I think we are good. We can call our code now. Let's execute this. and we are getting some error on line number 8. So it was the copy paste mistake. Let's paste it here because we don't have a variable called SFDC Facts Academy. And now we should see all our 3 customers printed here. The first one is CLR Infotech, the second one is Force Panda, and the third one is Udemy. So I hope you understand the purpose of inner classes, which we use to logically combine multiple classes, and when a class is only supposed to be used by one single class. So here our client class is only supposed to be used by the company class, so we can have this client class within our company class. So this is all in this video. I'll see you all in the next video.